Toto Wolff feels F1's power unit grid penalties have become too complicated, but the Austrian accepts that there needs to be repercussions to prevent a power unit arms race in the sport. The recent Italian Grand Prix brought into the spotlight the PU penalty system, as 9 drivers were punished for their team's inability to manage the prescribed limits. The upshot was confusion amongst teams, drivers, fans and media as to who was actually lining up in which position on the grid, until the FIA finally published a provisional grid 4 hours after qualifying had ended. The current system has its critics, but for Wolff, it's still essential to have these sorts of repercussions, with the Mercedes team boss admitting that if there were no penalties, the lack of a cost cap on power units would mean the larger constructors would likely bully the grid, saying, "If there are no grid penalties, we would have qualifying engines, not 5 but 20. The big teams would spend what they want in order to have an advantage, and that is why there needs to be a certain factor that avoids that. That is where it is coming from." Although the penalty system is too complex in Wolff's opinion, he still feels a strict deterrent is needed, otherwise his team would just blow an engine every single race just to go 3/10 faster if the cost of doing that was only a 5-place grid penalty. Now, how F1 actually will solve this dilemma, well, you can let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. The Las Vegas Grand Prix has admitted its peculiar start time is due to a compromise with fans on both sides of the Atlantic, with the inaugural race going green at 10 PM local time. The night race's time means East Coast viewers in America will have to stay up past 1 AM to view the Grand Prix, while viewers in Europe will be dealing with an early morning start time of around 6 AM GMT. It may not be great for drivers or a number of viewers around the globe, but Las Vegas Grand Prix CEO René Wilm has defended the decision, saying, "That was actually a compromise to make sure we are broadcasting at a time when our European fans can get up with a cup of coffee and watch the race 6, 7 in the morning, very similar to how we in the USA watch the European races. So that was actually a very important component of planning out our sequencing for the race weekend." With MGM Resorts admitting that some hospitality packages could retail around $100,000 US, while the race organisers are insisting that affordable general admission tickets will be plentiful too, it seems that Vegas will be more like New York as the city that won't be sleeping for most of that Grand Prix weekend. And finally, Christian Horner has admitted there was a chance to bring young talent Oscar Piastri to Red Bull, an opportunity that the Red Bull boss admitted he now regrets. The Australian will be in F1 with McLaren after coming through a tumultuous end to his partnership with Alpine's Driver Academy. But Piastri once raced for Horner's former team, Arden International, founded by Father Gary, during his early career, and the Red Bull team principal confessed he missed out on the talent. Oscar drove for Arden in F4 and Formula Renault, Horner told the Beyond the Grid podcast. He was obviously a significant talent, and there was an opportunity for Red Bull to look at him at the time, and we didn't take up that option, which is something I regret. Now, Red Bull already have a stacked driver lineup, but can you imagine Oscar Piastri perhaps alongside Pierre Gasly at AlphaTauri? Be something special indeed. For more F1 news, GPFans.com and GPFans Global on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok as well. And of course, more discussion on Nicholas Latifi's move away from Formula 1 and who will be replacing him at Williams next year.